So today we're going to do muscles of the forearm. The forearm can be split up into anterior compartment and a posterior compartment. The anterior compartment of the forearm is used for flexion, whereas the posterior aspect is used for extension. The anterior aspect of the forearm can be split up into three different parts, which is superficial, intermediate, and deep. Whereas the posterior compartment is just split up into superficial, and deep. Now we're looking at the superficial layer of the anterior compartment of the forearm. This contains four muscles. The mnemonic for them is pass, fail, pass, fail. Where the P stands for pronator teres, F for flexor carpi radialis, and the other P stands for palmus longus, and the last F stands for flexor carpi ulnaris. So how else can you remember the muscles? The flexor carpi radialis goes along the radial bone. The palmus longus goes towards the palm, and the flexor carpi ulnaris goes along the ulnar bone. So here, to identify these muscles, if you put your palm on the medial epicondyle here and stretch your four fingers out, this will show you the direction of the four muscles. Now this is a diagram which shows you the actual muscles on someone's forearm. So here we can see pronator teres. Next we can see flexor carpi radialis. Now we can see the palmus longus going towards the palm, and we see the flexor carpi ulnaris going along the ulnar bone. Next, we're looking at the intermediate layer. This only contains one muscle, and that is the flexor digitorum superficialis. So it's the flexor muscle because it's the anterior compartment, digitorum because it's going towards the digits. And now we're looking at the deep layer of the anterior compartment of the forearm. This contains three muscles. To remember these three muscles, the mnemonic is three P's. P, P, P. So have three P's in a diagonal, and then draw lines like this. So in the first two lines, there should be three underlines, and the last one should just be two lines. Okay, because we're dealing with the anterior compartment of the forearm, all of these have to be flexor. So if it doesn't start off with P, they have to be flexor. So these two are flexor. The last one starts off with P, so we don't put flexor there. Okay, so the first one is flexor digitorum profundus. Profundus. The next one is flexor poesis longus. The last one is pronator quadratus. Okay, so the muscles are here. The first one was flexor flexor digitorum profundus, which is this muscle here. So as you can see, it's a deep muscle. So profundus means deep, and then you've got digitorum here. So we've got the deep muscles going towards the fingers, which is here. So you can see it's going towards the fingers, the digits. Next we have flexor poesis longus, which is here. And as you can see, this one goes towards the thumb, because poesis means thumb. And last we see pronator quadratus. So it's a pronator, and because it's shaped like a quadrilateral shape, we call it quadratus. And now we're dealing with the posterior forearm. The mnemonic is bad m. So the way this mnemonic works is, with the first two letters, this deals with the initial letter of the muscle. The last five letters, they deal with the ending of the muscle. So when I go through it, you understand what I'm talking about. So the muscles in bold on the left are all the muscles of the superficial layer of the posterior forearm. The first one is the brachialis, brachioradialis. So brachioradialis. The next one is anconeus. And next we got M. So next we got D and M. So D would be, because we're dealing with the posterior forearm, this has to be extensor. So all these are extensor ones now. So they all start off with extensor. So we've got extensor digitorum. This ends with D. So letters here deal with the actual ending of the muscle. So this will be extensor digitorum, which is here. So extensor digitorum. The next M here, this would be extensor digitorum minimis. So you see how it ends with M here, and this muscle also ends with M. So it starts off with M, the final part of the muscle's name. The next is U. This is extensor carpi ulnaris. And the last two, there's two R's because they both have to do with the radius. So because there's two radial muscles, there's going to be one brevis and one longus. So here's the extensor carpi radialis brevis and extensor carpi radialis longus. So hopefully that makes sense now. And now we're onto the deep layer of the posterior forearm. The mnemonic is sit. So once again, the first letter is the starting letter of the muscle, and these last two, they're the endings. So the S stands for supinator, which is found here. And the next two is, so I stands for indices. So because once again it's the posterior aspect of the forearm, this is going to be extensor indices muscle. So this is extensor indices, which is found here. And the final T here stands for thumb. So T for thumb. So thumb in anatomy, we call it polus. And the T here stands for thumb and also stands for the number 3. Because there's 3 thumb muscles. 2 of them are extensors and one is an abductor. So the abductor is abductor pollicis longus, and then we've got extensor pollicis longus, and then we've got extensor pollicis brevis muscle. These are all the muscles of the forearm.